Hi, good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Michele Belcastro,
I'm Lisa Miliaresis.
and we are hanging out at the Violet Butterfly Metaphysical Healing Center in Palm Harbor, Florida. So we have some friends that have already popped in.
Okie doke.
I'll just go down this list here, invite more people.
So happy that you're here with us. I enjoy doing this and sharing information about after-death communication in the world of spirit. I think it's very healing. The more people that understand it, the better that it is for everyone. Because I think there is a lot of misconceptions about it.
Misconceptions?
Mm-hmm.
About talking to the spirit world?
Yeah. Absolutely. So yes, we welcome you to add your questions down below. And if not, we do have a few that I acquired at the retreat this past weekend.
Awesome.
I didn't really look at them though, so.
On purpose. Definitely on purpose. All right, we're just gonna take a few minutes to see who else will pop on with us.
So Michele has brought over a few of her lovely crystals to join us here today.
So, part of the reason, and I know not everybody is into crystals, but they help with a whole law of attraction, right? Because they vibrate at a certain rate and we vibrate, and sometimes we need help from our friends.
Well, Mother Earth is the greatest healer there is, and recycles negativity and makes it into something beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And the crystals all come from her.
Absolutely. So we brought a beautiful selenite generator in just to help to keep the energy nice and clean. And because I felt like my throat chakra was closing up on me today, I've had some upsets. So I'm supporting myself with a beautiful piece of sodalite and a piece of angelite.
I like the name. That works for me. And I go by feeling the vibrations, and they all feel very yummy here.
Well, why don't you introduce your two pieces that you brought in too?
Well, these were just in my pocket, so I have just a little tiny selenite angel. I actually acquired this from a good friend of mine, Tricia Heiser, when we went to see Lorna Byrne in New York a couple of years ago. So it was very appropriate that we had that. And smoky quartz. Usually I have them in my pocket, but I brought them out.
She's sharing tonight.
Sharing, yes. Yeah. So
All
let's
right.
get started.
Okay, let's get started. So the first question we have here is, when asking for a sign from spirit, can a sign be tactile?
Absolutely. A sign can be something that is tangible and something that is non-tangible. Because in the world of spirit, there's no such thing as form. They utilize form to work with the energy, will work with it, whether it be, having a bird come sit next to you or a butterfly just land around you. I mean, they can utilize these things. Or it could even be, can you show me where my keys are,
Okay.
How many times have you had something misplaced and you knew you put them on the kitchen table and then you find them in the laundry room?
Mm-hmm. So does it also mean that spirit can play with us at times?
Absolutely.
Too? So they can help us misplace things?
Well, it's come up in validations through communication that spirit was with them at certain times. And they also make mention that they like to play at times. It depends on the personality of the spirit, to be honest with you. And they have at times mentioned that they play with the lights, they play with the phone, they do the interactive things with energy because they are energy and because they can.
Just because they can.
Because they can.
That's great. All right. So our next question is, when people pass, what is the time frame of recognizing wrongs? And do they always recognize that they've done something wrong?
Well, it's an always or never question. I can't label and bundle all spirits into an answer.
Okay.
So that's one thing I could just put out there. I can only speak to what I've been informed of. And what it appears to me is that it goes on an individual basis. Pretty much like people have asked me, how long does it take before a spirit will come and communicate with you?
Mm-hmm.
And some want to rest and acquire their comfort level of where they are and learn their lessons before they come through. Others will come through, they've learned it right away. Pretty much like in school, you'll have always that one person that always gets everything right away and other people need a little help.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the same for those individuals that are souls and spirit.
Okay.
So I don't think it is a one size fits all.
So can you go through the general process maybe of what happens to a spirit in the afterlife? Because I know that, let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
Can you give us
some kind of idea?
Yeah.
From what I understand, when you transition, and everyone will transition in a different way, some people go rather suddenly, others linger on in illness, whatever their journey is and their timeline of life that it's supposed to be. And it is all for your soul growth. Your guide will be with you. You have one particular guide that's contracted with you from the time that you are born until the time that you transition. And then there's others that may come and go along the way, as well as loved ones and angels. But that particular guide is with you. It's your spirit guide. They will be with you when you transition,
Mm-hmm.
and they will help you to look through your words, deeds, and actions that you've done in this current lifetime, how they have affected you and your soul growth, and how they have affected those that you are associated with, your loved ones, friends, and family, in their soul growth, because it has a ripple effect. You know, you do something in your little gyroscope of your life, but it also affects your household, affects your community, it affects the world, it affects the universe. We are individual, yet we are connected. So to have that understanding, and then from there, they'll acquire if there was things that maybe they should or would have could have done differently and what the outcome would have been. But everything is perfect because it's all about that journey and learning from your soul growth. Does that make sense?
It does. So that leads me to the question of the things that you've done, regardless of how they're viewed by others, may be exactly correct for another individual that you're impacting through your action.
There's a higher perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So what we look at is our tunnel vision of what we're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always a perspective of those that are in spirit or the divine or whoever you want to speak to, whatever it is you contracted to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So let's put it this way. What I understand, before you come to this world, and I may have said this already, you pick your entrance date, you pick your exit date, you pick your parents and your environment, you pick the certain timelines or certain lesson plan fate marks that you're going to have on this timeline of life. And how you get to these different fate marks will be your free will, whether it's the easy way or the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
And once you transition, you go back and you look over those different lessons and how they worked out and how they affected you and affected those around you. And from there, you learn to answer the question, the rights and the wrongs, if you can label them that. The whites, the grays, the maybes, and there's so much more involved than what we know.
Right.
Or we experience.
So we may label something as right or wrong, black or white, but that's not really how it is in the grand scheme of the universe.
You're going to feel what feels right to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like an ethical question, you know, what are your laws of ethics, ethical this way or that way? So I think it's more of a self-judgment.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So Michele has a question. Can our loved ones who have passed on join us in our dreams?
Yes.
If we see them in our dreams, could it be their doing, like them interjecting purposefully?
Thank you for your question, Michele. Absolutely. The easiest way for a spirit to connect to us for an after-death communication is when you dream, because as you dream, you quiet your mind, you go into an alpha state, and it's easy for spirit to make that connection to you. And they show you your dreams. We were actually just in the store here talking about dreams like a few minutes ago.
We sure were.
So your after-death communication dream may not look exactly like your loved one, may not, there might be something about it that when you're having that dream that just stands out, that reminds you of that loved one, but it doesn't have to be totally physical or totally audio. There's something about it. And when you wake up, you know it was not an ordinary dream. There's something about it that's more vivid or more appeals into your heart. And also what I implore people to do is to, when they get up, notice how they feel after that dream, because your emotions are an indicator of how to interpret that dream before the monkey brain goes in and puts fear into it. So just notice how it is. But to answer your question, they do come through you in your dreams, and it is a form of after-death communication. So it is their intent to show you more than likely that they are well and in the world of spirit.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, so our next question, and this seems to, we have had multiple questions about people that commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
This one is, do people who commit suicide regret it?
Well, again, I can't say all people would regret it. I have had some that would come through that said they're sorry because they've caused emotional harm to those that they love.
Okay.
There have been some that come through that said that they really couldn't bear to work with things in this lifetime. So they decided to do it from another perspective.
Okay.
And so I would answer that to say that some do mention an element of regret, but I want to also acknowledge that they're not in a place that's bad. They're in a place of learning and growth and healing.
Okay.
No one should try and do it, though. You should stay on this journey here and continue it out is the preferred
way of going about things.
Absolutely.
Okay.
This is our life, and our life is to be enjoyed. It's about joy. So have balance, joy, and ease in our life. And most of our challenges in life come from acquiring balance, because everything is moving so quickly, changing so quickly, and there's different techniques you can get about getting balance back.
Okay. We have a question from Janet. Is there a reason why some of your loved ones never come through your dreams?
There could be many reasons why that happens. It's kind of like when I have a group session, maybe someone will say, well, I heard from my aunt, but I didn't hear from my mom. So there could be the same thing in a dream, because that's a way of them connecting and communicating. And if you have, from the question, it sounds like you have had some people come through in your dreams. Look at it this way. Is there a need for that person to come through in the dream? Do you already know that they're well in the world of spirit? Keep in mind that there's no sense of time in that world. So for us, the lifetime is like we can't put a measurement on it. And to them, it could be 5-10 minutes. Were they procrastinators? Gonna wait till you get here. But there's so many variables in play. It doesn't mean they're in a bad place. It doesn't mean that they don't love you. There's just other things that are in play. Plus, it takes a lot of energy for a spirit to make a sign to you, after death communication to you. They have to slow that vibration down and then put it forth in some fashion that you understand it. Now, what you can do is perhaps, put a paper and pencil next to your bed. And before you go to bed at night, don't do anything like watch TV. Do something meditative, like listen to music without words, and put the intention that you want them to come visit you in the dream. And just try that, without an attachment to it actually happening, and see if that helps.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So we've had a few more people join us.
Oh, welcome. Bring your friends.
Yeah, please invite.
And bring your spirits.
So, and if you have questions, please go ahead and type in the comments that you have questions that we can answer, or Lisa can answer. I'm just here as a sidekick. But we do have one other question that you got this past weekend, and that is, when you are in social situations, are you inundated with spirit?
Not anymore.
Okay.
Initially, when I started to be aware of this, I would get a lot of impromptus, and it would put me in a pretty unusual situation. But as I started to meditate more and get my connection more clear, and the dialogue and language that I connect with spirit, and I utilize that when I do my channeling, I realized that I need to give them their time. So ritualistically, I will meditate every morning. And that is their time to connect with me if they need to, or get a message out. However, I will still have some impromptu messages come through, whether it be at work or in market. If I'm able to give the message, I do.
Okay.
If I'm not, I tell them to try another time or try another way when I can.
So can you explain what it was like to have these? So, okay, let me back up. There's a lot of us that deal with probably similar situations, not identical, to what you developed into, right?
Okay.
So, a lot of us get overwhelmed, inundated with a lot of different things. So what I'm thinking is that some of the skills that you use, aside from meditation, I mean, that's a very important tool, but what other tools do you use?
Everything and anything. Everything and anything. I use crystals that we already discussed, the crystals.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here's the thing. I don't have it with me, but in my book, Spiritual Guidance, Trust in the Voice Within, it's the interactive workbook. There's a whole section there in maintenance, and there's the tools that are in your toolbox. Mm-hmm. And plug, we're redoing a class here on the 27th, if anyone's interested in joining us. So what I was going to say is our environment is, as I said, was always moving. I believe in checking in with yourself regularly to see how you feel. There's a few things that you always have access to, and that is your breath and your intention and prayer, because prayer is a focused intention. Mm-hmm. So you can launch out a prayer to give yourself whatever it is you want to do, whether it be acquire more balance, to calm down, to be focused. And you can breathe into that and just take a few seconds to just breathe into that. So that really is a great relief that's available to you anytime, anywhere. Also, walking in nature is very nice. If you have a pet, they are full of unconditional love. Just pet them for a little bit. I take the salt baths pretty regularly, which has 1 part, say a cup of Epsom salt, cup of baking soda, little sea salt, no iodine, and some either lavender oil or whatever it is that you like for aroma. And with the intention of cleaning your aura of debris that you've collected from emotional energy that's been distributed to you through the past. It could have been you were riding a subway and people were on there and they were fighting and you've just collected that. Whatever the case may be, the emotional energy is just as contagious as catching a cold. So you can debris yourself with the intention in the salt bath. Now, whether or not it's the actual bath, it's the intention, it doesn't matter. It really does work. It makes you feel better. And there's a number of other things that you can do. Yoga, Reiki, get acupuncture, anything that moves that energy and cleans it out. I was just telling Michele that I have a great practice of cleaning my energy every day. I try and do it regularly because of the work that I do and being energy sensitive. But there are times, as good as you may be, that you can't get everything. And that's when you need to visit a practitioner, whether it be Reiki, acupuncture, etc. And I always say it's to get the spots I can't reach. They need to body floss you. So somehow or other, you need to get clean. Mm-hmm. So I hope that answered your question.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. well, like I have communicated before, and for somewhere my words are still not really working out all that great today. But I think that with your gifts of communicating with spirit, you have a lot of lessons that you can teach other people that haven't developed, whether it's that gift or that ability
Absolutely.
or other things, to enrich their lives.
That is the total gist of why we wrote Spiritual Guidance, Trusting the Voice Within, because not to minimize channeling, but there is so much, all these modalities are connected through the symbolic energy language that connects everyone and everything. And to learn to connect with it and create that balance of physical and non-physical will help you in anything that you're trying to do. Could be creative art, could be anything.
Wonderful. So we have run out of questions. Anyone online wants some other answers for maybe how Lisa communicates with spirit, anything that happens in the spirit world that we haven't talked about tonight, other topics that you've been kind of curious about as far as after-death communication?
We're going to give you a few minutes if you want.
Yeah.
If you want to jot something down, we'll be here to access that and hopefully provide you with some kind of understanding. But in the meantime, I truly enjoy this space, and I thank you for coming as well. And I enjoy sharing communication. I feel very blessed to live in and I may have said this before, in a time and space where I can share this freely, because that hasn't always been the case in the past.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you. So, looks like we don't have any questions here.
I guess we're done for tonight.
But we'll be back again. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste. What do I hit? End?